Welcome to the webinar, Why AEC CFOs and BIM Managers Have Chosen the Cloud. Today I'm going to talk to you about the various topics here. First, I'll start with the introductions of myself as well as our company. And then I'll define what cloud are we talking about. There's a lot of cloud terms floating around today. And then we'll get into why a CFO wants a cloud, why a BIM manager wants a cloud, and then get into the meat of the presentation, which is several case studies, and then I'll end with some conclusions and some questions. All right, well, who's talking to you today? Well, who is Chris France? I am the regional president for Advanced 2000, and I've been in IT, 30 plus years, been doing this a while, 11 years as a CIO. I've worked for large companies like IBM and Bank of America, Wells Fargo, as well as Little, which is a large design firm in Charlotte, North Carolina, which is where I was the CIO. I've authored several articles, BIM in the Cloud within AEC Bytes, also the same title, a few chapters within Mastering Revit Architecture in the 2011 and 2013 version. I'm also a speaker. I do many webinars like this. I've spoken for the AIA at the Autodesk University as well as Wide White and various other technology conferences when I'm not being a cloud CIO helping customers move to their cloud. And my background is IT. I'm not an architect. I'm not an engineer. I've got a computer science degree from Ohio State. Who is Advanced 2000? Well, we've been in business nearly 30 years. We're a full service IT engineering company. And by full service, I mean we have just as many customers in our data centers as we do supporting them on site. We've got about 180 people, 80% of which are highly trained, certified IT engineers. And we've got 8 offices in the various eastern part of the U.S., but we've got partners all over the country, and we've got clients across North America and Canada. We are a privately owned company, and we own all of our data centers. And you can see here a quote from our CEO, Brian Moad. What makes Advanced 2000 so unique is our culture, which drives trust, transparency, teamwork, and going to any length to make things right. Our number one priority is to serve our clients, and that is 100% true. We serve many markets. Today I'm going to be talking about the AEC industry, but we also serve the healthcare, government, accounting, legal, manufacturing, professional services, and the education markets. We primarily offer services in 3 categories. We've got the private cloud computing, telephony, both on-premise and hosted, as well as our strategic IT assessment and risk assessment and some consulting. Various services, detailed services, what we do, Office 365 web hosting, co-location services, carrier services, IT implementation, on-site monitoring, and business continuity and disaster recovery. We provide a 7x24 by 365 help desk and end user support. We have various technical support and maintenance plans, and we also sell hardware, desktop server storage, as well as firewall security devices, network switches, and wireless access points. Now let's get into the presentation. So what cloud am I talking about? We hear that term thrown around all over the place, and today I want to talk about exactly what we at Advanced 2000, how we see the cloud. Basically, for the AEC industry, we take all your BIM, building information modeling applications, and for this conversation, I'll say Revit for most of the time, because that's really the main application that people are using. But we can install any design application. We take these applications, we install it on a virtual desktop in our private cloud, our private data centers. We create all the virtual servers that are needed for this project, whether it be the file storage for the models, the domain controllers, print servers, whatever is needed for this project. And then we allow the clients to access this technology infrastructure from anywhere. So it's like sitting in the same office doing your Revit collaboration, whether you're in New York, LA, Texas, you're all working together at the same time. And we provide, it's a turnkey solution. We provide the IT staff and 24/7 coverage. And what I mean by staff redundancy, a lot of small firms, they're lucky to have 1 or 2 IT people. Those people can't work around the clock, and if they leave, take another position, a lot of these firms are really stuck because they've got the passwords, they've got the setup. While at Advanced 2000, we back up each other. We've got many IT people. We document all the processes for clients. And if one person leaves or gets sick or moves on, we've got other people that step in with no disruption. We also provide the connectivity, not only within the data center, but to be able to get from your location to our data center. And we provide hosted phones and VoIP. The reason I include this on the cloud that we're talking about is because of this, the chat feature that's part of the phone system is many times used to during the design process. They're chatting back and forth on various design parameters. And that's really what we're talking about. All the compute assets, all the applications, all the data that you need to run the project in one data center location. So how do you get to all this information? Well, there's what we call cloud access devices. So you've got your BIM project cloud, and you can get to it from a variety of endpoint products. But there's primarily two components. There's the endpoint computer, whether it be a laptop, a tablet, or a thin client. And then there's the VMware software client that runs on that endpoint device, and it creates a remote desktop secure connection into the data center. Now, we've used many types of remote desktop technology. We've tried out Microsoft Hyper-V, we've done the Citrix, and for right now, with the best price performance for the AEC industry, given the high graphics needs, VMware is kind of the go-to thing right now. And we all know what laptops are. Tablets are becoming more and more popular, especially on the construction job sites. But the thin clients, because all of your compute applications and all your resources are in the data center, all you really need is a remote type connection. So you can see here some of these really thin clients, they've got just enough software on them to launch a remote desktop. And they're like $400 or $500. So a lot of people are starting to like those, and because they've got a long life, they're a solid state product, and your real compute power is in the data center. So that's your cloud access device. Multi-office connectivity. This is generally how firms start within a project, a BIM project cloud, is they've got maybe a branch office, couple branch offices with the headquarter. They want to bring people in from various locations and be able to work on a project like they were sitting at the headquarters or the branch office. That's usually the first thing they do with the cloud, is work internally on project collaboration. The next phase of the cloud migrations, once a firm is comfortable working on a cloud internally, they open it up to their consultants. So just like you can get to the cloud from a remote location, so can your consultants. You can secure the data, we can encrypt it, you can lock down the permissions so that your consultants are only authorized to see the projects they're authorized to see, and it's got a flexible project involvement. So maybe this consultant's on from location 3 is on for 2 months, and then they're done. You delete them from cloud access, and you add an AEC from location 4. It's very flexible. People can come in and come out. You can have one firm that works with you on several projects, and they'll be able to see that. You may have another firm that can only see one. You can control all that through the multi-firm connectivity. In the cloud collaboration, once you're connected, whether you're inside your company or with your consultants, this is how actually people work together. So we get all your, as I said before, we call it a BIM project cloud. We get all your Revit files or Navisworks, whatever you're running with. And the good thing about this is you've got one set of data, one version of the truth, and you don't have to pay for the design software for everybody. So your engineers, your mechanical engineers, they've got Revit licenses. They bring their licenses to the cloud. It's BYOL. Bring your license to the cloud. Bring your own license. The architects will have their Revit licenses. You'll point their cloud desktops to that license and so forth. So we create this network or this matrix of connectivity to the various consultants, NLM, the network license manager, and now Autodesk has kind of moved to a subscription base where their NLM is within Autodesk. But you get the idea. And once this happens, you can connect your architects with your engineers, your contractors. Everybody's working. If you need to print, we can create print servers, and you can zip the print down to your local plotter in real time. That's how it all kind of works together. Security. Because this is a recorded webinar that I'm putting on our YouTube channel, I'm not going to go into the detailed security protocols that we use. That's going to be either a face-to-face or a one-on-one meeting with our clients. But suffice to say, we have multiple levels of security, of enterprise class security, And even when I was a CIO for a large design firm, we've got more security than most CIOs can afford to have. And like I said, we don't publish our security protocols, but as we get through closer into designing your cloud, we'll go through all the information with you. Why a CFO wants the cloud, or a CFO or a principal? What are they concerned with? Well, growth. Everybody wants to grow their business. The cloud scales very quickly, and you only pay for what you need. You don't have to go out and buy, 50 terabyte SAN and hope to grow into it. You can only buy, 1 or 2 terabytes that you need. It's very scalable. It provides a competitive advantage and cost. The cloud, hands down, the cloud provides more IT for less money, so you can do more things. I tell the CFOs this. I said, look, if you've got 10 offices of people, one office of IT costs less than 10. It's just that simple. And by moving to the cloud, you can consolidate your IT into one location. Mergers, acquisitions. The cloud migration is very quick. We've had clients that, purchased a 50-person firm. We moved them over the weekend. And it allows us to quickly integrate them into your firm. It makes it very flexible. IT staff retention. This is a big one, especially now where staffing is very tight. People will leave for a couple dollars an hour difference. And so with the cloud, we provide this, and you'll see this in the case studies over and over again, the flexibility and the work-life balance to be able to work from wherever. And so you might be working in your office maybe in Southern California, but you can live in middle of the country or in other lower cost parts of California and still be able to work. Another thing about staffing is CFOs really like this, is that they say they've got one office that's really slammed with people, and they've got another office that's light on work. Well, because of the cloud and everybody can work like they're sitting in the same office, the office that's light on staff can help out the one that's slammed. Much better way to utilize your existing staffing without having to, hire in one location and let go in the other. So the cloud kind of levels that all out. Profit. Obviously, if there are clients that are using the cloud to increase their revenue, being able to provide services into offices that normally they couldn't support, as well as decreasing their costs back into the IT consolidation. So whenever you can increase your revenue and decrease your costs, you're going to improve your profit margin. Why does a BIM manager want a cloud? Well, the primary role of a BIM manager, they're focused on the best use of the current technology. So they're focused on project delivery. A cloud eliminates project lag. What do I mean by that? Well, there's no more uploading and downloading data. So at the end of the Friday, most firms will upload all of their files to some kind of a project site or an FTP site, and then Monday everybody's got to download it and relink everything and see whatever changes. Sometimes this project lag could be 2 weeks long. There's a change in a week and they don't see it for 2 weeks, and then they've got all this rework to do. Cloud eliminates all that. Client satisfaction. The cloud increases your certainty of outcome. Clients can see what's going on in real time, and I'll get into that in some of the case studies. Team collaboration. As I mentioned before, you can bring the distributed team together. Location no longer matters. Doesn't matter whether they're inside or outside of your firm. And design mobility. People travel, they're in hotels, they're at job sites, they're at home. They want to be able to access the design information and work no matter where they're located. The cloud allows them to do that. And one last slide here before we get into the case studies. So how does the some of the CapEx and all that, the CFO cares about the capital expense versus operating expense. And you'll see, and I'll talk about ANFT, ASKEW, NIXON, FERGUSON in one of the case studies. They created a very detailed ROI where they took their current IT spend for the year and their IT spend for the year, what it would look like if they went to the cloud, and saw that when they expanded this out 7 years and didn't have to do the equipment refreshes in the cloud, they were saving a couple $100,000. And so you've got operations, redundancy on the personnel, you've got consolidated storage, just a lot of ways to save money. And see, what the cloud is trying to do is eliminate all those variable costs and convert them into fixed costs where you can budget for them, what they are every month, rather than, hey, my storage server just died and I need to go out and spend $100,000, kind of thing. So it helps, smooth things out and allow you to budget. So it eliminates a lot of those big capital expenses into a lower operating expense. And then From the BIM manager's perspective, you get the latest and greatest technologies. You can always stay on top of the desktop performance. It allows you to do your collaboration back to meeting your project deadlines, and you get to software version control. And of course, who doesn't want a 24/7 help desk? Most firms do not have that right now. Okay, the first case study, our client is MASHBURN Construction. They're headquartered in Columbia, South Carolina, and they've been a client since 2012. They're about 70 people. I think they're maybe up to maybe 80, 85 people now. 3 locations, Greenville, Columbia, and Charleston. We put in a point-to-point circuit and public internet from them. Well, let me talk about some of their problems. What problems were we solving? They had data in multiple locations. They had a hardware-free refresh cycle. They had to continually buy more storage, more servers, etc. They needed to run Navisworks, but they didn't need to run Navisworks 8 hours a day for one person. They wanted to be able to share it between their offices. And of course, you're going to see this theme. They wanted to be able to work from home. They wanted to be able to offer that as a company benefit, and which is part of their culture. So what does their network look like? You can see here in the upper right is our data center, the Advanced 2000 data center. We have the virtual desktops running their Navisworks, Revit, AutoCAD, all that. We have their virtual servers. We have the virtual firewall and a switch, and all this is connected. So all their compute assets are in our data center. And then once their business is running in our data center, all you need to do is connect to it. So they got some local PCs, and actually they've moved from PCs to laptops, connecting to a local switch. We put in point-to-point circuits, and they got their local printers and plotters, and everybody's working like they're sitting in the same office. In Columbia and Greenville, same thing. And now when people are going mobile, they're at the job site or whatever, they're connecting in over the public internet. So this is a very standard network diagram that you'll see from all of our clients. And so the services that MASHBURN is using, it's centralized storage, cloud desktops, Office 365 mail that we migrated them to, MIMS, which is the MASHBURN Information Management System. It's a homegrown application, so that's important. Anything that'll run in your environment will run in our cloud, whether it's custom written or a commercial application. SharePoint, accounting server, backups, and help desk. They are what I call an all-in client. They are running their entire business out of our cloud as opposed to just a project. PJL, they are a large architecture firm based in Houston, Texas. And you can see the similar network diagram, just more offices. They had, what are the problems they have? They had data in multiple locations. You can imagine they started with us at 9 locations. They're up to 12. They had hardware refresh, constantly needing new PCs, constantly needing new servers. Very difficult time to collaborate between their offices as well as with their partners. And again, they wanted a company benefit of being able to work from home and being able to be flexible on that. So same thing, we created a network of point-to-point services, circuits where appropriate, if the office was large enough. Some of these smaller offices that have maybe 1, 2, 3 people, we put in a cable modem, internet connection, VPN, and everybody connected. Again, all of their desktops, servers, firewall, switches in here, mobile connecting over the internet, and they centralized all their storage, cloud desktops, backup. Very, very good way of working. ASKEW, NIXON, FERGUSON, ANF. I talked about them a little bit earlier. They've been a client since 2012. They really didn't have a multi-office collaboration problem. They only had 1 location. And so, but the problem they had aging hardware, aging infrastructure. They were looking at a large capital expense to do a refresh. They didn't have a need to collaborate with partners at the beginning, but they said it was good to know that this cloud would facilitate that in the future without having to do anything else. They had multiple versions of Office, MS Office, and we standardized them on Office 365. They had an aging phone system, and they had a help desk, but an in-house person, they wanted that person to become more billable because they had an architectural background. And again, they wanted to allow their staff to work at home and provide that as a company benefit. And so this, they're really the catalyst to move to the cloud was more of a capital expense, having to save all that and going to a managed service. So put all their assets, servers, desktops, software in our data center. They are an all-in client. Create just enough technology locally to be able to connect to the cloud, to the switches, plotters, and so forth. And then over time, they did end up having to collaborate with a third party. Gensler, in fact, Gensler Architects came in for a project, and they allowed them to come into just that project, and they were all working and successful. And again, mobile users are connecting in over the public internet. FITZPATRICK Engineering. This is been a client since 2015. They're a small client, engineering client, just north of Charlotte. And they had very similar issues, problems as ANF, aging infrastructure. If anybody that has replaced all of their infrastructure knows that it's very costly, it's time consuming, and if there's a better way, they were open for it. And they heard us speak on one of these webinars and called us up, and we helped them out. We moved them all their servers and desktops to our data center, their MS Office, we moved to Office 365, we replaced their aging phone system. And we basically gave the principal, Doug Fitzpatrick, his life back, because he was the firm principal as well as the in-house IT guy working nights and weekends to keep everything running. And he wants to be able to provide work from home capabilities as well. So here we go. Take all of Fitzpatrick's compute assets, everything they need to run their business, running out of a data center, connectivity, one point to point to there, 30 meg circuit, and remote users coming in over the internet. And this is an all-in client. This network diagram is the same for these two companies, 1,200 architectural engineers. These guys were in a similar to Fitzpatrick, been a client since 2012. They started with 5, but their problem wasn't an aging infrastructure problem. Theirs was I have no infrastructure problem because I am a startup and I don't want to go out and spend all this money the first time. So Chris Cobb, sought us out and found Advanced 2000, and we did the same thing that we've been doing for all these other clients. We moved all of their business compute applications, their data, into our data center. We set up their local office to be able to connect, and he was able to get all new centralized storage, cloud desktops, backups, Office 365 phones, and all in without having to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars setting up his business. So problem solved. This IPD project, this is kind of these are not all-in clients. These are all integrated project delivery where you got to bring everybody in together to work for a project for a set period of time. One of the first firms to do this was CHS, now they're Atrium Healthcare. They had multiple firms working together, and we created one virtual studio, as I mentioned. This allows for real-time changes, so anytime anybody makes a change, everybody on the project team sees it instantly. There's none of this project lag where you're moving data, uploading, downloading it. There were Autodesk licensing challenges. You have to have network licenses to be able to operate like this. Some of the project team did not, and so they had to upgrade. This was something innovative that they did. Mecklenburg County permitting, they had a heck of a time getting these hospitals permitted in a timely fashion. So what they decided to do on this project is invite the Mecklenburg County permitting office into their cloud, into a secure directory where they can only see what they publish for the county. And they were able to kind of review the designs as it was getting built or as it was getting designed. So that as soon as the design was done, boom, here's the permit. It worked very well. There's another large client that we have that we're under NDA that we can't share the name, but I can talk about some of the problems that we solved for them. They had about 900 people, and that was just their consultants. So the owner had, thousands of people that were working on their construction program. They needed a good way to bring in their consultants from 82 different firms. And we created a hybrid cloud. So the client had a Panzura, the way they connected their offices. We added a Panzura into our data center and allowed the consultants to operate on that version of the Panzura. So everybody's syncing their data, everybody's accessing it flawlessly. PenFirst, another large IPD project, very similar to CHS Healthcare. They were a team consisting of HDR, Fosters and Partners. You can see the list there, Balfour Beatty. And we brought everybody together from any office, and I think actually some of these folks were coming in from the London, the Balfour office, and they were able to connect in real time to all this data. Same Autodesk licensing issues. Some of the smaller consultants had to upgrade to network licenses, but once they did that, they were good to go. And this was a rapid IT project delivery. So what did we learn today? Well, what is the cloud? I defined that. It means many things to many different people, but to us, it's a local area network, a LAN, with all the compute assets that you need for your project running in our data center. And do CFOs and BIM managers want the same thing? Mostly. Everybody wants this firm to be successful, the project to be successful, but they're coming at it from different angles. The CFOs are concerned with the bottom line. They write the checks. The BIM managers want to make sure they're using the best technology in meeting the needs of the CFOs. The cloud meets both of those goals. And while we see from the case studies, they are different firms. There's engineering firms, there's construction firms, architectures, but they're very similar problems, and they each implemented various cloud components that solve their problems. And this is possible because the data center provides options for every need. So you can see how this cloud can help your firm's challenges. Questions? There are no dumb questions, no silly ones. I'll answer all. And these are the few that I've gotten so far. And if you have any more that you'd like me to answer, just give me a call or shoot me an email. See my contact information there. So questions I get, let's see. Do you have to have multiple offices to make your solution practical? No, as you can see, as I mentioned with ANF, they were only one office. In fact, FITZPATRICK is one office and 1200 is one office. If you're looking at kind of an all-in and you're looking for a way to replace your aging infrastructure, the cloud is a perfect solution for that. So how does the software licensing work? Okay, I mentioned a little bit about that where it's BYOL. Now that's for Autodesk. You have to bring your own license. Autodesk isn't going to let Advanced 2000 buy Revit and rent it to you. That's a violation of their licensing agreement. But you can bring your own license, and Autodesk is, they're constantly improving their licenses. They're moving from the network license manager to a user-based subscription, but you can run the user-based licenses just as well in our cloud. And then as far as other software vendors, you're just going to have to cross that bridge when you come to it, so to speak. Microsoft has their own rules. We actually can rent you Microsoft Office, as I mentioned. Bentley does it a little bit differently. Dassault does it a little bit differently. But suffice to say that we can get all of your software working, technically and legally in our cloud. What is the best way to start? Well, if you've never heard about cloud computing or you've never tested a remote desktop for that, what I highly recommend is call me up and demo our environment. We usually provide 2 demo VDIs suitable for running your application, whether it be Revit or Lumion or whatever. And we give you 2 so that you can collaborate. We have a common file system where you can collaborate with each other. And we let you have it for 2 weeks and for free. There's no cost for that. And that's kind of to get the idea. We have the standard, not for resale, eval licenses of all the Autodesk suite on there, so you can kind of play around with it, load your projects on it. And then after you kind of get the idea and you see how this might work for your business, some firms want to jump right in, like FITZPATRICK and Chris Cobb, the 1200, they said, how fast can you move me? Others say, all right, if larger firms, in 2, 3, 500 range, they want to start with a proof of concept or a pilot project. They'll say, all right, I've got this project of 20 people. We're going to set up a cloud just for them. We're going to see how it goes. We're going to change our, work habits and so forth, and then we'll go from there. So that's really demo, kind of crawl, pilot, walk, and then full migration running. Can I run custom developed software or just Autodesk? You can run anything. Like I said, if it'll run on your computers, it'll run on ours, whether it's homegrown software or commercially packaged software. Does your solution compete against BIM 360 or project-wise? Yes and no. As far as the data collaboration, being able to give the team access to the same set of information, that's really what BIM 360 and ProjectWise are designed to do, but it's still moving data. You've got to move it from your office, your workstation, to the Autodesk cloud or Bentley cloud. The difference that ours has, it's a complete solution. We're actually taking your CAD workstation, your Revit workstation, instead of having it local, which you still have to come into the office if you have a PC to access BIM 360, we're actually moving that to our data center so it frees you up to work wherever. And the other thing with BIM 360, it works good for Autodesk software, but what happens if you have non-Autodesk software? And vice versa, Bentley, if you're running all this different types of software, whereas ours is a full Windows 10, Windows 7 desktop that runs your entire application suite. And then, back to the question about custom applications. What if I have custom plugins or apps? BIM 360 is not going to run that, but our cloud will. Will your cloud support future technologies such as 4K displays, virtual reality, augmented reality, and IoT? Of course. In fact, we will stay on top of the technologies as they come out. 2 years ago, the 4K monitors came out before that I could actually run them through VMware on a remote cloud desktop. Now that's available. I can run 4K virtual desktops. Same thing's happening with the VR and the AR. We've got clients that are designing with the virtual reality plugins like Fuser in the cloud. And then while you still have some of that proprietary goggles and tech hardware, they'll just download the VR file and locally and run the experience like that. And IoT, we're still looking at that as well as big data analytics. But that's all the questions I have. And I want to thank you for your time today. And if you have any more questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Take care. Have a good day.